The city will look to begin construction on the controversial Albuquerque Rapid Transit project in the next several days. This comes after a federal judge gave the city the green light to start work on the project. Last night, the judge denied local community groups' request to put a hold on the project. The mayor says they're eager to officially get started.
We'll just go out now every day and work to make sure that the skeptics that are out there, when the project is finished, have an opportunity to look back and say, well, you know, this is a big project, but in the long run, it's the best thing for our city.
The city hopes to finish the project next fall. The plaintiff's attorney says they'll take the weekend to decide on their next move. They could request the judge's ruling be put on hold while they appeal it. It's a fight over evidence. We're 2 months ahead of former APD officers Keith Sandy and Dominique Perez's murder trial, and the defense is telling a judge how prosecutors are labeling James Boyd is wrong. News 13's Haley Rush has the latest.
So he was not a camper, he was a trespasser, or he was an illegal camper at that.
The defense says prosecutors should not be allowed to call James Boyd a homeless camper or victim during the trial. They say those words will prompt sympathy from jurors. Sandy and Perez are facing second-degree murder charges for killing homeless camper James Boyd in the foothills back in 2014 as he held 2 small knives. The state says Boyd was not involved in criminal activity at all that day, and calling him trespasser or suspect will make him seem dangerous to the jury when he was just looking for a place to sleep.
He was homeless. There's no dispute about that. With regard to him being a shooting victim, he is a shooting victim. He was a victim of a shooting.
Prosecutors say a witness that will testify about Keith Sandy's law enforcement training at state police 20 years ago, before he was an APD officer, should not be allowed because the use of force training is out of date. The defense fired back saying police training has not changed. The hearing has wrapped up for the day. The judge has not ruled on any of those motions yet. Haley Rush, KRQE, News 13.
There's no word on when a decision will come down. The murder trial is set for September. An Indianapolis police officer is suspended without pay today after investigators say he shot another police officer. Police say the shooting happened while at a call about an argument between an off-duty officer and his estranged wife. The off-duty officer fired at the responding officer, who fired back, but the off-duty officer wasn't hit. He took off instead. Police arrested him overnight in Cincinnati. They say he'll face criminal charges. San Diego continues to mourn the loss of one of its officers involved in a shooting Thursday night. Meanwhile, Officer Wade Irwin, a 9-year veteran with San Diego Police, is in serious condition on the long road to recovery, not only healing physically from his injuries, but also the emotional wounds of losing his partner.
I can't begin to put in words the emotions and feelings that surround an event like this.
Friday morning, San Diego Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman delivered the heartbreaking news that one of her own, Officer J.D. de Guzman, was killed in the line of duty to his family.
It is extremely difficult. There's nothing that prepares you to do that. It is extremely difficult.
43-year-old de Guzman was a 16-year veteran on the force who in 2003 had been awarded the Purple Heart by the SDPD after being stabbed during a traffic stop.
More importantly, he is a loving husband and father of 2 young kids who are now grieving the loss of their dad and their husband.
Chief Zimmerman knew de Guzman, having worked with him while a lieutenant at Mid-City.
He cared. He came to work every single day just wanting to make a positive difference in the lives of our community.
His partner on the gang suppression unit, 32-year-old Wade Irwin, had the same commitment to the community and to his family.
So dedicated, loving, caring, somewhat of a new father.
Early Friday morning, Irwin's wife, along with their 19-month-old daughter, arrived at UCSD Medical Center in Hillcrest, where she remained by his side all day.
Well, we are grateful to say he is expected to survive the attempt on his life.
Peace in our street! Peace in our street!
Friday evening, near the site of the fatal shooting, community leaders lay a wreath in honor of both officers.
We want the families to know that we're praying for them, that we're standing with them.
That was Richard Allen reporting. The San Diego Police Officers Association has established a fund for Officer de Guzman's family. An investigation is underway for a small plane crash in Wisconsin that left 2 Santa Fe men critically injured. Investigators say the men are 78-year-old pilot David Spencer and his passenger, 71-year-old Rafael Chavez. Deputies say the two men had just taken off from the airport Thursday morning when the pilot reported having problems.
Their assumption was the plane was coming in for a landing. Then they made a comment that they thought it was going to hit the trees because it was so low. Then they saw the plane bank and crash into the ground.
Witnesses told investigators they saw that plane crash into that field. One man's sweet tooth could be the reason why he landed in hot water with the law. Police say they arrested Dan Rushing from Orlando, Florida last December after officers say they found possible drugs in his car. He says officers thought they found meth, but they actually had just found icing crumbs from a Krispy Kreme donut. Police say they tested the substance in the field and in a police lab, and both times it tested positive for an illegal substance. Prosecutors dropped the charges a month later after state lab tests determined the substance was in fact icing. Rushing says he's now considering taking legal action for what he believes was a wrongful arrest. The city will look to move forward with its controversial ART bus project after a federal judge gave the green light in court. Now, yesterday, the judge denied local community groups' request to put a hold on the project. The mayor says work will begin Monday.
We'll start the process of getting contracts out the door, but we will also reach out to even the most ardent opponents of the project, like we have throughout the process, and say, listen, we're still here, we're still listening.
The mayor says this is good news for the city as it aims to stay on track with construction, hoping to finish by next fall. The judge says the city has met all the legal standards before they moved forward. Critics were disappointed at the judge's decision.
Me and my clients are saddened by what happened, by what the judge decided. We could tell that the judge was feeling some remorse at having to rule this way as well.
The plaintiff's attorney says they'll take the weekend to decide on their next move. They could request this judge's ruling be put on hold while they appeal it. In either case, the decision was preliminary. The city attorney says future hearings are still expected for the judge to make a permanent ruling. In overnight news, Bernalillo County Fire is investigating an incident at a home in southwest Albuquerque. Our crews got to the scene on Del Sur Drive around 2 this morning and saw sheriff's deputies there as well. Firefighters were seen on ladders over the roof of a home. Our crews also caught on camera a small amount of smoke rising from the roof. Now, there's no word yet of whether this was actually a house fire or what might have caused it. We've been waiting on word from firefighters. Developing this morning, a judge is weighing whether an accused teen killer's confession should be thrown out. Jeremiah King is one of 6 accused of breaking into cars and homes when police say he shot and killed Stephen Garrick in his driveway last summer. Yesterday, the defense argued King's constitutional rights were violated when he confessed without a parent or a lawyer present, and the questions police asked him were misleading. The prosecutor says King told police he understood his rights. His trial is set for October. A local group is fighting to get rid of books giving step-by-step directions on how to control women and make money. The how-to books are readily available for anyone to buy on Amazon. Now, the local coalition has started a petition to stop the sales, warning some of the content is disturbing. Here's News 13's Gabrielle Burkhardt.
It's a crime that often lurks in the shadows.
This is a horrific crime, and it's now in our backyard in New Mexico, and we have to do everything we can to protect families.
Attorney General Hector Baldera says human trafficking is one of the most profitable organized crime strategies in the world. Local groups gathered at Civic Plaza to raise awareness. Christine Barber works with victims. And when she saw what was being sold on Amazon,
I can't even tell you. I think the word horrific doesn't even do it justice.
She's referring to content in 16 different books. Books, she says, offer a step-by-step how-to on the human trafficking trade.
I got kind of blown away about what I saw, and I thought, does everybody know that this is out there?
There are titles like Organized Game, Pimps, The Raw Truth. Some more direct, like How to Get a Woman to Pay You, Volume 1 and 2.
The reason they can kind of fly under the radar is these books tell you how to become a pimp. but a pimp is a human trafficker.
An Amazon review says one of the books is, quote, written as an instructional manual, not an autobiography. It's exactly why Barber is petitioning Amazon to stop the sale of these books.
I think as humans we want to believe that this is a joke. It's not.
She points to other pimp products sold on Amazon. You can buy an air freshener or a pimp gnome.
I realize that some of this stuff is funny, and I realize that it's hard for us to take it seriously.
But Barber wants people to at least think about what the word means, since so many women know all too well.
We've already had women come by who were sold by pimps, and they all will tell you this is how life actually is.
Gabrielle Burkhart, KRQE News 13.
News 13 tried contacting Amazon about the books and the petition, but we haven't heard back, and neither has the coalition petitioning the company. You can find the online petition and learn more on our KRQE News app. Police in Tempe, Arizona have released the name of the officer who shot and killed a 19-year-old man.
Mr. Hollins, who while fleeing turned toward Lieutenant Ouimet in a manner that Lieutenant Ouimet perceived as preparing to fire.
Police say Lieutenant Ed Ouimet fired a single shot at the teen as he ran from a drugstore to a senior living facility. The teen was suspected of robbing that drugstore. The 19-year police veteran told investigators he thought the teen had a gun. They never found a gun on the teen. Investigators say the officer was wearing a body camera, but it wasn't turned on. The teen's family is now calling for the lieutenant to be fired. Happening now, the Florida Department of Health is testing people and mosquitoes in a small area of Miami in hopes of stopping further spread of the Zika virus.
The state is prepared, and we've been prepared. We think about this just like we do a hurricane. The way you do well at this is you get ready.
Florida Governor Rick Scott says 4 patients, 1 woman and 3 men likely contracted the virus from mosquito bites near one Miami neighborhood. Until now, all cases of Zika in the U.S. had been acquired abroad. Zika has been linked to serious birth defects. Happening next week, the New Mexico Environment Department Secretary will step down. Yesterday afternoon, the department confirmed Ryan Flynn will leave his position. His resignation comes after a rocky relationship with some environmental advocacy groups. The governor praised his work, saying that he negotiated the largest settlement in history between the Department of Energy and any state after the accidental release of radiation at WIPP. A back-to-school health fair for Metro families gets underway in just a few hours. Loveless Westside Hospital is hosting the event starting at 10 this morning. Fair organizers say there will be activities for kids, car seat checks, and more. Parents will be able to also schedule sports physicals and get immunizations for their kids. Free backpacks will also be available on first-come, first-served basis. Also today, children in Rio Rancho will be able to score some free school supplies. Molina Healthcare is putting on their back-to-school fest starting at 10 this morning. The first 500 kids to show up at Haynes Park today get free book bags packed with school supplies. There will also be free haircuts and fitness training with a local MMA gym. A Texas police officer and a little girl he saved are fostering an unbreakable bond this morning. Corporal Patrick Ray and 3-year-old Bexley met when he saved her from choking on a coin. His body camera was rolling as he got her breathing again. A year later, Bexley's mom hired a professional photographer to capture her daughter and her favorite police officer together. He's also become a favorite among Bexley's 5-year-old brother. The pair prays for him regularly.
Night of the Dallas shootings, he asked me if Officer P. Ray was okay. I wasn't ready for that question from my 5-year-old.
Bexley's mom says with so much negativity directed at police, she hopes these pictures will show a different side.